Hey guys, Ben here. Today I'm out in Ralph Stover State Park in Pennsylvania, and I want to show you the technique that I use when I need to escape my top rope self-belay setup and transition to a descent. Now this technique is vitally important if you're climbing on overhanging terrain, or perhaps it's a difficult climb and you've got a bit in over your head and there's no footholds for you to be able to get your weight off your rope. So all of your weight is hanging on your top rope setup, and you need to transition into a descent because you can't get up. Maybe you've taken a fall on an overhang, you're swinging out in space, and you need to get back down. You don't have a belayer who can just lower you, so you need to be able to self-rescue. So stay tuned, and I'm going to show you the technique that I use. Okay, let's talk about the equipment that you're going to need for the technique that I'm going to demonstrate today. First thing you're going to need is a descender. I'm going to demonstrate with two different devices today, the Petzl GriGri and also a tube style belay device, and this one is the Petzl Reverso. So you'll need something like one of these devices to get you back down off your rope. The other thing that you're going to need is some prusik cord. Now you're going to need 2 strands of prusik. When talking about prusik, they recommend that the diameter of the cordage that you use is 2/3 the diameter of the rope that you want to wrap it around. So most climbing ropes are 8 to 10 millimeters, so 5 or 6 millimeter cord works best as a prusik. I've tried both and I find that the 5 millimeter cord works better. It catches and bites a little bit better on the rope. And in terms of length, the short one is about 35 to 40 centimeters in length, but you need double that. So that's a bit over 1 foot, so you need a bit over 2.5 to 3 feet. You have to add a little bit extra because you're going to be doing your double fisherman's knot on the top here. So you want about 5 feet of the 5mm cord for your short prusik. And then for your long prusik, this one's about 75 centimeters to 80 centimeters in length. So with this one, double that, that's 2.5 feet, so 5 feet. So you need about 7 feet by the time you factor in your knot as well. So 5 feet and 7 feet of your 5mm cord for your prusik. And that's it. Prusik, cord, and a descender like a GriGri is all you need. Now you should be carrying these things with you all the time when you're out there solo self-belaying. And before we get started, I just want to add one more thing, is get out there and practice this with a buddy somewhere close to the ground before you go out there and you actually really need it because you've fallen off somewhere and you need to use this technique. So practice with a buddy, and always whenever you're solo self-belay climbing, let someone know where you're going to be and what time they should expect to hear from you to let you know that you're safe at the end of the day. Okay, let's get climbing. Okay, I've just taken a fall on the overhang. You can see my 2 devices, my micro sender on the top and my micro traction on the bottom, have caught me. If you're not familiar with the setup that I use for top rope self-belay, check out one of my previous videos. I'll put a link in the description so you can see how I set up. These are weighted evenly. You can see the rope between them is tight and underneath it's slack. So let's assume now that I've fallen on this overhang, I'm free hanging, I've got no way of getting back onto the climb, and there's no ledge or stance where I can get myself set up so I can get all this off and transition into a descent. So I'm going to have to do something while hanging on the rope here. So the first thing I'm going to do is get out my GriGri. I've got this attached to the Black Diamond Magnetron. This is my favorite of the locking style carabiners. It's got a nice clean action and it doesn't come undone like those old screw gates used to do sometimes. So when I put this on, the top part of the rope is going through the climber symbol on the GriGri. And then I can attach that onto my harness there. Now, before I go any further and de-rig any of this stuff, I'm going to put a catastrophe knot in the rope here. This is just going to be a figure 8 on the bite. And this is just in case I've made a mistake when I'm rigging something, you know, in the heat of this moment when I was falling off and I'm wondering what I'm doing here. I'm going to put this in just in case my GriGri is backwards and starts to slide when I weight it. It's only going to slide as far as this knot. Okay, so that's on there. Next thing, I need to get my weight off my 2 devices here. So this is where the prusik comes into play. Remember, we've got 2 For the GriGri use, I'm only going to use one of these prusik cords. So I'm going to get the knot that's in there, the double fisherman's, and that's going to be my starting point. I'm going to wrap 3 times around my climbing rope. 1, 2, 3, just going in between each time. And then once I've done that, I can pull that to the end. Now this is going to be a stirrup that I can put my foot in to get my weight up and above these devices. Okay, everything's all set up there. I can pull the tension on that and then stand up on my prusik. You can see now both of my devices here are unweighted. So now I can go ahead and unclip from my micro sender and unclip from my micro traction. Before I sit down, I'm just going to pull my GriGri up tight so that all the weight now will be on the GriGri when I sit down. So now when I sit down, my weight's on the GriGri and I've unweighted my devices up above. So now I can go ahead and unravel my prusik cord. I can take off my micro sender and I can take off my micro traction, and now I'm just connected via my GriGri. So before I descend, I'm just going to take off my catastrophe knot, and there we go. Now I can descend. Okay, I've just fallen off again. This time, let's assume that I don't have my GriGri on me. I've only got my tube style device, and today I've got the Reverso with me. I always carry a Reverso or ATC guide with me whenever I'm climbing because they're so versatile. They can perform a lot of functions that a GriGri can't. So I've always got one of these on me, whatever type of climbing I'm doing. So this setup is a little bit different. So let's start out with the things that we know from before. First of all, let's put our catastrophe knot in. Always a good idea when you're changing from one setup to another. And we're going to be using both of our prusiks on this one. Let's get the first one off and put it up. It's going to be in the same position as before. We're going to put our 3 loops. Right up the top there. Okay, now we need to have a bit of a different setup here because the Reverso is not self-locking like the GriGri. So we're going to put our Reverso, we're going to feed that through there like that, as you normally would if you're going to rappel, but we want to extend this so it's going to be up higher and not right down on our belay loop because we're going to put a third hand on. So for this, I've got a Petzl connect adjust. Now this is my favorite type of personal anchor system. I used to use the old Paz, you know, the one with lots of different loops on it, but I found now this connect adjust is perfect. Okay, so I'm going to put that on and then I can pull this in so it's in quite tight. So it's a little bit up above my belay loop but not too far. I then want to put a third hand on the tail end of the rope between where my Reverso is and my catastrophe knot. So for this one I'm going to use the short of my prusik cord. So this is going to be the same technique as what I did on the wraps up above. I'm going to put 3 wraps. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, like that. And then I'm going to clip this one to the leg loop on my harness, like that. So when I'm going to go into rappel mode, my device will sit up here and my third hand will sit below it down here. Okay, so that's all set up. So now I can stand up on here and I can remove my micro sender and remove my micro traction. I can pull as much rope through as I can onto my Reverso, and then I can sit down and I can move my third hand up so that'll hold me. So now I can go hands-free just like I did with the GriGri, and I can remove all of my devices that are up above me. So I can remove my long prusik that I used as a foot stirrup, micro sender coming off, micro traction coming off. I can take out my catastrophe knot, and now to rappel down, I can rappel by pulling down on this third hand and releasing through the reverso. Okay, it's the end of the day. I'm up at the anchors about to pull it all down. Thanks for watching today. Remember, there's a multitude of different ways that you can achieve the same outcome as what I did today with different techniques. So practice, do it somewhere close to home, somewhere that you're comfortable and familiar, with a buddy nearby, and do it close to the ground so you can get out of trouble easily. Whatever technique you use, make sure you're well rehearsed in it before you actually need to do it for real when you're out there sometime. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel and share the video, and let me know down in the comments what type of video you want to see, what techniques you want to see, and I'll see if I can put something together. You may have noticed today I was wearing the 510 Grandstone shoe. I'm currently working on a review of the La Sportiva TC Pros, so I'm testing out some of the other shoes that are in that same market. So make sure you stay tuned for some more videos. Okay, see ya.